gentlemen, fourth and trollers, boys and girls of all ages, welcome back to Fourth and Troll Fantasy, the most entertaining fantasy football podcast on the planet. My name is Noah Selby.
And I'm Wes Selby.
And we have got what should hopefully be as exciting of an episode today as a finish as Thursday Night Football was this week. I am ashamed to say that Baker Mayfield made me smile because, I despise the man, but
outspokenly,
as a lover of the game of football, man, what a game that was last night at SoFi Stadium. It absolutely insane. I cannot believe it. Unbelievable. Wes, how are you feeling after such a game? Like how you doing?
Well, it was funny because in the world of fantasy, extremely boring. But
yeah,
in the world of football, I mean, a nice underdog story. You got to admit, it's just, even if you don't like the guy, hey, that's impressive. All right. Can't, as much as many of us want to deny it. All right. You know what, Baker? You get this one. Chalk this up in your win column. It was nice. I mean, I didn't really enjoy the game for most of it. After that first Devontae Adams catch, it was like, here we go. And then it didn't go. And then the game just kept going. And then Baker Mayfield had that really great drive. So, I'm happy. I'm feel kind of nice because, let's just jump into this, Noah. The Rams hadn't won since you and I were at SoFi.
Right.
This weekend, we're going back to SoFi, baby. And I'm pumped. I am pumped, dude.
Where's the good luck?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm thrilled, man. By the time this episode comes out, by the time some of you may be listening to this, I may be in the air on my way to Los Angeles. I may be already landed. I'm thrilled. I'm excited. I'm stoked. We are obviously talked about it a little bit last episode, but we are going to Dolphins versus Chargers at SoFi on Sunday night, and it is going to be incredible. I'm so excited for it. It's going to be the best time, and I don't have a lot of words. It'll be our first Dolphins game together, my first Dolphins game ever, and I'm just so excited. I'm so excited for it, feeling great, and I mean, if Baker Mayfield can win in SoFi, I mean, let's just see what happens with Tua and the Dolphins. Am I right?
Ugh. It's gonna be a great game. Great game.
Let's see.
Great game.
Like I said, we've got a great show for you guys today. Obviously going to go over that surprising Thursday Night Football game, talk about some studs and duds, and then maybe a little sneaky Q&A that we've got going on here in this episode as well. As always, let's get into the news though. Wes, what's going on as we head into the final regular season week of fantasy football?
Well, as you might have heard, Baker Mayfield was waived by the Panthers and claimed by LA. Did you hear about this? Did you know, Noah?
I heard something about it, yeah.
Something about that? Yeah, all right. So just for a little context, he only had 2 days to prep with the team. And then after one drive last night with John Wolford, Sean McVay was like, yeah, no. Pulled him out, put Mayfield in the game. And I guess Mayfield is going to continue to start. I mean, there's no reason they wouldn't continue. They're 4-9. It's not like they have a season to salvage. It's not like they're going to try to fight for playoff spots. So, in case any of you saw what happened with Ben Skoranek and Tutu Atwell, and you're just interested in Van Jefferson, Baker Mayfield's going to probably continue to start. We'll just have to see if Sean McVay says anything by the time this episode is released or later in the week. All right. Also, last night, Josh Jacobs suffered a pinky injury when falling onto the field. He did return to the game, but just keep a tab on that next week in case he's questionable for any reason. They had to tape up his finger. It's called a buddy tape when they tape 2 fingers together to kind of make a splint. So just keep a tab on that because he's leading the league in rushing yards. He's been fantastic. He's my must start. He's been great. So just keep your eye on that as we get into playoffs by the time Jacobs is active again. Okay. Hey, Noah. This is one of your dreams. Your dream scenario finally happened here. Okay. The Atlanta Falcons officially are turning to rookie Desmond Ridder at the quarterback indefinitely.
Yes,
Marcus
finally.
Mariota. Mariota is going to put on the bench. Ritter's going to take over. And, the funny thing is the Falcons are well within reach of winning the division because the South is just a mess in the NFC. So keep that in mind. Noah, you've been such a big fan of Ritter. I really hope this pans out.
Yeah. Now Kyle Pitts gets to go. Oh.
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 No.
Oh, well. Anyway, Lamar Jackson, I don't know if maybe we said this last time, but this is official now. He suffered a sprained PCL, meaning he's likely going to miss 1 to 3 weeks, which means that Tyler Huntley will be taking the reins for at least this Sunday, if not the next one after that and the one after that. So unfortunately, Lamar Jackson owners are going to have to try to find something to take that QB spot for the playoffs. Okay, hey, fun fact for all you Houston Texans fans. Brandon Cooks and Nico Collins are probably going to miss. They're both probably going to miss Sunday's game, which means, in case you care, Amari Rodgers and Chris Moore are the top 2 wideouts for Houston against Micah Parsons, the Dallas Cowboys defense. Have fun starting them if you dare try. That'll be fantastic. Okay, so last night the Raiders played. Darren Waller could play next week coming off of IR. Remember, the Raiders are somehow still in the playoff race, even after losing to the Rams last night. Waller could have an impact on this offense, and they could continue to try and fight for each game. So in case you've held on to Waller this entire time, I know when he was put on IR, people dropped him. He's likely going to return. He may make a difference. We'll see what happens with that. Trevor Lawrence on Sunday suffered a nasty foot injury in a sack. Left the game for a snap, maybe. It was halftime, came back, finished the game, no problem. Even had a few rushing yards. But then afterwards, Doug Peterson now says that Lawrence's status is questionable. He missed Wednesday's practice. We'll just see if he's going to continue to miss any more practices, how his status will look come Saturday, maybe even today. By the time you're hearing, there may be some news on Trevor Lawrence. Just keep that in mind. Okay. So this is related to Alvin Kamara because Mark Ingram is out for the season with an MCL tear, making Dwayne Washington the only other backup to Alvin Kamara. Or maybe it's just Taysom Hill. I don't know. They just put him anywhere. But in case anyone still cares about the handcuff for Alvin Kamara, it's Dwayne Washington. Not so much fantasy relevant as far as offensive players, but it's still important to note that Von Miller officially went ACL surgery and it's officially done for the season. So the Bills defense will be without a key component to that fantastic defense. Michael Carter, remember that guy? He was pretty good a couple of weeks ago. Michael Carter has participated in practices fully this week. It looks good enough to return. He wasn't even listed on the injury report by Wednesday, so he should be good to go. We'll see if Zonovan Knight still has a factor in this, so just keep that in mind as well for any of you that have held on to him or are planning to start Michael Carter. Kadarius Toney, he's always injured, but he did return to practice this week. It's still unclear if he's going to play. I don't know. It's tough to hold on to a guy that has such a high ceiling, but just is injured all the time. Kind of like Michael Thomas. Anyway, shots fired. Okay. Bengals head coach Zach Taylor felt the need to clarify, which I love. He needed to clarify that even though Samaje Perine has been great, Joe Mixon is unquestionably their starter. That could also mean Perine won't even be used as a tandem when Mixon is back. So in case anybody is really hoping there's some Tony Pollard effect, I think Zach Taylor's made it clear, no, it's Mixon. He even made the reference that Mixon scored 5 touchdowns last time he played. Well, that's not going to happen again, but they're making a point with Mixon and Perine. Last couple here. Panthers head coach Steve Wilks said that he's not worried about Donta Foreman's status. He's just banged up. He should be fine. He should be against the Seahawks this Sunday. Foreman has been limited throughout this week. So if this turns out to be more than just a bruise, obviously Chuba Hubbard is going to take over for the running back position. Last but not least, okay, somewhat of a surprise. OBJ was probably going to go to the Cowboys, maybe the Giants. We'll see. Maybe not so much right now because Jerry Jones publicly said he doesn't feel confident at all in OBJ recovering from the ACL tear from the Super Bowl. And it just might turn out that Odell Beckham Jr. is not even relevant for fantasy football at all. The Cowboys and Giants haven't made additional progress with him, and it might just be too late for us to plug him into our lineups. It could be by January that he is eligible to return based on his injury. So if any of you have held on to Odell, it might not be a bad idea to just let him go, try to get someone else that's on that waiver for your league. That's the final bit of news here for the week. Noah, let's just talk about it. We mentioned it before. Let's dive into last night's game, Raiders at Rams. Baker Mayfield didn't look that great for a lot of the game, but hell of a final drive. 10 seconds to go, clutch victory. As much as we don't like him, shout out to Baker, huh? Not too bad.
Yeah, shout out to Baker Mayfield. Speaking of Baker Mayfield, you think OBJ runs it back with the Rams now that Baker's there?
Oh, sure. Yeah, they had such
like
good relationship.
2 peas in a pod, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Send him back to LA. I'm sure it'll be great.
Good
great
night.
for the locker room. Love it. Yeah. Listen, let's start it off. Start off with a somber note and then we'll move on. Okay. Excuse me. Sorry. I'm still sick because of this performance.
Jeez. Oh,
because of this performance. I am just still my cold came back. I don't know how it always happens like this, but whenever I listen to Must Start, it goes completely opposite. It goes in the opposite direction. It's not every time, and there are times that we nail it, Wes, but Derek Carr scored less than 3 fantasy points last night.
Ooh.
And it's the first time in 5 weeks that he scored less than 16. And I don't really have words. I don't really know why. I haven't looked at the box score enough yet to see if, McDaniels was just committed to running the ball. I mean, Josh Jacobs had 29 touches, which is absurd. But to anyone who listened to what I had to say, you know who you are. I'm sorry. I apologize. That was it was a missed call. I did not anticipate this whatsoever. Obviously, I don't think many people did. All we can hope for is, for a little bit of bounce back here from Derek Carr, but 2.58 fantasy points is not what you're wanting from a must start, especially in a streaming week. So
it was completely surprising. So I'm not really going to, I appreciate the maturity, Noah, to just be upfront, own it, say like, hey, this whiffed. But like, this was completely unexpected. Aaron Donald didn't play. It's not like he came back with a vengeance and was like, hey, don't forget, it's me and Lawrence Taylor as the greatest defensive players ever. No, the Rams didn't do anything special. Just Derek Carr was not having a good night. I don't know what it was. So I'm not gonna let you take too much of that fault, Noah.
I appreciate it, Wes. It was I was like, man, first big play to Devontae Adams was like, yeah, Carr's on, baby, let's go.
Yeah, right. It looked great.
And then nothing happened. Yeah, that was disappointing for sure. But on your end of it, Wes, Josh Jacobs continues to just be fantastic. I mean, 19.4 fantasy points is a low week for him, which is insane.
That's fantastic to hear for him.
He continues to be great. Yeah, like I said, 29 touches, 114 total yards and a touchdown. He's awesome. He is awesome. And again, he is just the perfect example of, and I took that personally with them not signing that 5th-year option. Listen, as a Dolphins fan, I like what's going on in the backfield right now with these speed guys, but man, it's hard to look at Josh Jacobs and not go, oh, you have speed and you're a bowling ball? Okay, right. Yeah, cool. Come on over. That'd be pretty crazy if next year that played out that way. I don't know if the Dolphins have the cap space for that whatsoever, but
well, I just wonder if he's gonna stay in Vegas. I mean, there was some commentary from Kirk Herbstreit of saying that Jacobs mentioned to them like, oh, I love it in Vegas and I want to stay. And it motivated me with everything that McDaniels didn't accept the 5th-year option, that he was like, as you said, I took it personally. But I do wonder, like, what if they, he goes somewhere else? I mean,
somebody's getting a great young running back because he is still He's still in his mid-20s, and he is just absolutely killing it.
I will
Josh
say
Jacobs,
that
awesome play last night.
for 2 consecutive weeks, he has fumbled. I don't think either were recovered, but that was one of the addresses from McDaniels walking
Last night, did he fumble outside of the one that the ground forced?
Maybe.
Okay.
Maybe, but he didn't lose it, and he didn't lose the one last week either. But it was interesting that going into as soon as Josh McDaniels was hired, he talked directly to Josh Jacobs and was like, "Hey, we got to fix this fumbling issue." And everyone's like,
yeah.
"Whoa!" And he didn't sign the 5th year option. Whoa! And you and I heard that, we're like, Josh Jacobs is gonna suck.
Yeah, he hates this dude. He's not even gonna have a role. Yeah.
Well, he hasn't. But either way, point being, it's talk about a great year when you score 19 points and it's like,
yeah,
not as great as he could have been.
Yeah, crazy.
Something else from that
Absolutely
guy.
Crazy. A really good must start there that he had locked in. A couple of risky starts, had similar production here. Matt Collins, 8.2 points. Cam Akers, 9.3 points. Cam Akers had the fumble, could have been, double digits for you. If you listened, cool. If not, cool. Not much analysis on that. Like you said earlier, Wes, football-wise, great game. Fantasy-wise, not a whole lot going on here.
No.
Not a whole lot going on. So risky starts were risky. If you need them as like a flex fill-in, 8 points from a flex, not the worst you could do, but, move on. It's good. Yeah. Hopefully you're in the playoffs and you play somebody else next week.
It is interesting to see that Matt Collins had 3 rushes and for 40 yards.
Yeah.
That is a new stat for him. I mean, I don't know if that's going to continue, but it is. Yeah, otherwise, Matt Collins, who's a wide receiver, 4 targets, 2 catches, 22 yards. That is not great news, but he managed to get 8 points. So if you did start him, win-win. If you didn't start him, you did start him, 8 points is whatever. But yeah. I don't feel good about Matt Collins going forward. It's all Devontae Adams.
Yeah.
Regardless of slow night for Adams too.
Exactly. Yeah. And then a couple of don't starts, which we just, hashtag never been wrong,
That we absolutely nailed.
Crushed out of the park. Yeah. Kyron Williams, just 3 carries compared to Cam Akers, 12, 3.9 points. Tyler Higbee, 3.1 points, which all came towards the end of the game. Yeah, just guys that you shouldn't have in your lineup going forward here. So, and then again, you mentioned the receivers for Baker a little bit. But Baker had 14.2 points. Ben Skoranek, 8 targets, 7 catches for 89 yards for 15.9. Then Jefferson obviously caught the touchdown, so it helped him out a little bit there. 2 catches for 44 yards and a touchdown for him, 12.4 points. Tutu Atwell, 9.5 points. You could do worse, I feel like.
You could do worse. That's a good way of putting it.
15.9 points from Ben Skoranek. Might be worth a waiver ad. Who knows?
I mean, he was starting when Kupp and Robinson were in. I mean, he was the third option. So it's not like he's not familiar with the first team offense. So if you're going to gamble on these wide receivers, my money's on Skoranek. We've seen him take some rushes as well in the past. I think you and I watched him take a handoff and an end around. And oh my gosh, and those girls behind us, these girls had a huge crush on Ben Skoranek.
Oh yeah.
Every time he touched the ball, it was the greatest day.
He had like the most minimal tackle against him, and they were like, "Don't hurt him." Right. I was like, what are we watching here? Like, we're watching a football game? What's going on?
Right. So last night must have been the best night of their lives.
Yeah, they were thrilled. Yeah, I know they were watching. They're diehard fans. So.
Oh, yeah. They were in the VIP section.
Diehard fans, yeah.
Shout out to them.
Those ladies, yeah. Bit of a down week from Adams, but, I mean, highlight of the night, probably besides the game-winning touchdown, was his first catch on Jalen Ramsey. The dude is a magician. He is unbelievable. And, a down week being 10 points is, it's low, but it's still double digits, not the worst thing on earth. And I'm not concerned. His targets were in the single digits for the first time in a few weeks, I believe. So game plan must have just been a little weird, and Big Daniels was probably just fine running the ball out, and he should have been throwing it more so they could have scored more points. So,
Right. If they wanted to win, maybe throw it a little more.
if you want to win, you score more points than the other team.
Gosh, would you like to be the coach for the Panthers next year?
I am profound.
Yeah, or the Broncos, honestly.
Yeah,
that's probably insight that Nathaniel Hackett might need.
Hackett's like,
I will say
you
Adams,
score more points?
I thought it was just points in general.
Oh, okay.
Wait a minute. No, I would say for Adams, it's only disappointing because it's the last regular season.
Right.
And it's like 10 points is fine. It's nice to see double digits. If you're in half PPR, this is probably worse. Yeah. But I mean, knowing his ceiling, it's like, I would have really liked to have that 30-point head start from Adams. But you can probably still get by going forward. It's a toss up. I mean, hopefully you don't look back on last night's game and think that Adams lost your chance to make playoffs or a bye week or something. But anyway, 10 points. Definitely. I mean, I'm all right. Outside of it's playoff time.
You mean, Wes, in the league you have him in, you have already clinched your spot, correct?
Yeah. So ESPN, we're in an ESPN league. It says 100%, but technically, I lose,
I think they're banking on if you lose and the one guy who has a chance to ruin it for anybody.
Yeah.
If you lose and he outscores you by 280. Right. Dude, you are screwed. I can't believe Adams only got you 10 points, man. No. Luckily, Wes, the guy that needs to score 280 more points than you had Derek Carr. And so he's in a rough spot to start. So
no.
Sorry, Jacob. No. Sorry, buddy. Love you, man.
Oh well.
But it wouldn't be a Fourth and Troll fantasy episode without shout out to kicker. Daniel Carlson continues to be one of the best in the league. 12 points. Good for him. Good for his owners.
Only bad thing about this is he scored the second most of all the Raiders behind Josh Jacobs. That is not a good thing to see from.
Yeah, Daniel Carlson scored 4 times the amount of points that Derek Carr did this week. Must start, baby. Must start.
Hey, I don't know what happened, man. I don't get it. I don't get why Derek Carr had such a sloppy game.
Yeah, me neither. Oh, well. If you listened and you support us and you listened, we love you guys. Sorry about that.
Right or die.
And thank you for supporting us, because this week, actually, we to shift gears a little bit, we posted out on our Instagram asking for you guys to hit us with any questions you have for this week, the rest of the season, infinity and beyond. We're here to answer them. So we've got some social questions from our supporters, personalized questions that you guys had asked us to answer, give our take on. And we're happy to do that. So I'm going to start us out here, Wes. I've got a few questions in front of us, and we'll just talk them through real quick and see how it goes. First one here says, if Mike Williams plays, which upgraded to a full participant in practice on Thursday, so it's looking like he's going to go on Sunday night. Mm-hmm. If Mike Williams plays, should I start Daniel Bellinger versus the Eagles or Gerald Everett versus the Dolphins? I've got my personal thoughts on this. I'll throw it to you first, Wes, unless you want me to share first. What do you think here?
You share first. I think we're on the same page.
Yeah, I would go Daniel Bellinger here. The Giants play the Eagles. That's a good defense. Mm-hmm. And teams end up having a bit of whatever success you may count against the Eagles attacking the middle of the field. You're not going to attack the outside with Darius Slay, stuff like that. And so, tight end is such a wasteland as it is that, Daniel Bellinger can get you 4 for 40 or 4 for 50 and maybe get a touchdown or something like that. I mean, 8 points from your tight end. I don't think anyone is complaining about 8 points from their tight end this year, because
no,
it is such a mess outside of Travis Kelce. And I'll maybe throw an honorable mention for Mark Andrews, because even he hasn't been great lately. So I would go Daniel Bellinger there.
I understand the question, because Everett has had a couple double-digit games, and it's been nice. But in that same time, not only has Keenan Allen just been gone until like last week and the week before, maybe, but Mike Williams has missed time too. So it's just been him and Joshua Palmer. So when you get the two top receivers, especially against a Dolphins offense that prior to last week has put up, I think it was like 30 plus points in 4 straight games, something ridiculous like that. The Chargers offense is going to need to continue to hit the deep threat with these top 2 wideouts. So for me, I like Bellinger as well, especially because name a Giants wide receiver.
Yeah, maybe Darius Slayton if you want to try, but like
Slayton might be fine, but
maybe, but like I like Daniel Bellinger here if Mike Williams does play. Sounds like he's going to. So I like Daniel Bellinger there. Next question here. A sip of water, so I didn't just burst your guys' eardrum.
Oh, I thought it was a dramatic pause.
Next question here. Dun, 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 dun. Next question. Is Tyler Huntley a good streaming option with Lamar hurt? Do
you have your answer?
I think so, but let's see. What do you think, Wes?
I do not. I do not think that he is there are already starting quarterbacks that you can stream. I'll start with that. Huntley he's similar enough to Lamar Jackson. I think people are expecting another Lamar Jackson. I even heard someone, talk about he's a mini Lamar Jackson. I don't really think he is. So last year he played 7 games. In that time, he threw 3 touchdowns and 4 interceptions. And on the ground, he had almost 300 yards and 2 touchdowns. I think that's exciting enough. But when you have actual starting quarterbacks in the waiver, I would rather defer to that. Do you feel the same, Noah?
I think I'm a little on the opposite side, but just barely. For me, I had, preseason, I ranked these rushing quarterbacks fairly high. I think when you have a player when you have a quarterback who's a threat for 8 to 12 carries a game, I think that sets a floor fairly safe. But again, I don't know that Tyler Huntley is going to, with the banged up receiving core and Mark Andrews not being as hot as he usually is and all that sort of stuff. I don't know if the rushing floor can make up for the passing game. It's funny you say, we've heard people say Tyler Huntley's like a mini Lamar. Based off this year's Lamar, hey, maybe that's the case. Like maybe it is. Lamar hasn't been great, but I don't think he's the worst streaming option you can find. I just think there are like better options. I would dare even say like Desmond Ridder might be a better option. I don't know. It's just
I dare you to dare them to say that, Noah.
I don't know if he's a good streaming option, but I don't think he's a terrible streaming option. So do with that what you will.
I hope that's clarifying. I think that's clarifying enough where it's like, okay, you could, but I'm just glancing through like, I talk about Jared Goff. Jared Goff could still be a waiver option for you.
Yeah. Trevor Lawrence is on waiver wires.
Taylor Heineke. I mean, he can have a decent enough game to get you going. Daniel Jones has some legs too. Right. I mean, he's got some wheels. So like, for me, if I got to win this week, I'm going to go with someone that I'm already familiar with. I'm not going to.
Sure. It'd be tough for me if I was in a win and in scenario. Like if I needed to win to make the playoffs, it'd be hard for me to feel confident starting Tyler Huntley because we haven't seen him start a game this season. That's what I'd say for that answer.
Yeah. Okay. I feel content with that.
Yeah. I like that. Next one here. And I like this one because I'm actually in this exact situation. So I'm excited to answer this question here.
Ooh.
With Kenneth Walker III hurt, should I be adding DJ Dallas or Travis Homer in case he does not play? And boy, oh boy, get ready to round the bases. because you need to be adding Travis home run homer.
Yeah, I was feeling the same. I've seen Homer for like last year and the year before.
Yeah.
Do some, put up some special plays, and DJ Dallas, I think, is more. Would you agree he's more touchdown dependent? Like he's just kind of a goal line player.
There's not much PPR value. He's a north south guy, and let me just add this onto it. DJ Dallas was added as a non-participant in practice on Thursday. So
there you go.
He was hurt himself. It was actually a crazy scenario last week with this game. Kenneth Walker III was hurt, and then he was out of the game. DJ Dallas was listed as doubtful to return to the game. And then Tony Jones Jr., their third stringer, because Travis Homer wasn't actually even active for this game. Tony Jones Jr. is playing, and then he gets hurt. And so then DJ Dallas, who is doubtful, just turns it around. And it's like, hey, I know we're about to rule you out of the game. We need you back in. And he goes back in and plays the rest of the game. So he is banged up as well. I'm honestly expecting today to hear either a doubtful or out tag on Kenneth Walker III and probably a doubtful or out tag on DJ Dallas as well. Setting Travis Homer up for what I think could be a very interesting week, and he could be one of those late season heroes where he, like, if you need to win to get into the playoffs, I think Travis Homer has a chance to be that guy. He's got good PPR value. He's pretty strong, to be honest. He's a pretty strong guy. He can get between the tackles. So Travis Homer is who I'm going with here in this scenario. If Kenneth Walker III doesn't play again, I'm expecting to hear today that he probably will not.
I feel the same. I like Homer. I know DJ Dallas has done well, and people who maybe more casual in the Seattle Seahawks backfield might remember, with Chris Carson days and DJ Dallas kind of slipping in occasionally for a few touchdowns. Looking at their stats, comparing DJ Dallas and Travis Homer, DJ has 4 rushing touchdowns in his 3 seasons, counting this season so far, which is great. He has 1 receiving touchdown, less than 300 yards, and 50 targets. Homer has 430 yards and 2 receiving touchdowns, or receiving yards as well. So the PPR is part of why I like Homer as well. But I also know that, I don't know, there's an intangible that you can't really explain, but like Travis Homer, I think is better than non-Seahawks fans may recognize. So I hope it is Homer. I would like for that to happen. I mean, it's kind of the similar scenario where you're talking about, like, hey, maybe if we get Kenneth Walker, playing in Seattle, this might turn out to be a pretty good thing. There's a scenario. I don't know what portion on the pie chart it is, but this scenario that Travis Homer ends up getting like 15 plus points easy if he continues to be the RB1 in Seattle.
Yeah.
It's our opinion, but
Travis
we're
Homer,
very confident.
In case Kenneth Walker doesn't play, Travis Homer.
Boom.
Let's jump over here to this next one. And this is an interesting one. And I think I know my answer pretty easily. I want to hear yours, Wes. Will Isaiah Pacheco be an RB1 candidate in 2023? Thoughts?
A candidate? Yes.
Yeah. You think so?
Yes. I think a candidate, sure. But I would not draft him as my RB1. Like there's a scenario that I have incredible wide receivers and I have 1 running back and I need to fill in the RB2 slot. If I'm feeling risky, Isaiah Pacheco is a scenario. I'm looking to see how things and what we hear in the offseason in training camps and OTAs, but that's my first reaction. What do you feel, Noah?
I think barring hearing reports from training camp that, Andy Reid is going full on LaShawn McCoy with this guy and his workload in the backfield, I don't think so. I think Isaiah Pacheco is still a touchdown dependent high end, like RB2 in my opinion. I think that's where he lies at right now. They still enjoy using Jerick McKinnon in this backfield. I mean, obviously this is going to be for next season, so it's hard to predict what the roster looks like.
Yeah.
Unless they move Clyde, he might still be there. It's tough, but we'll just have to wait and see on this one. He definitely has the talent to be, I feel like, but it just depends on how he ends up being used in the offense, I think.
I'm open to it. That's what I'll say. I'm open to that being a scenario in the draft where if the hype starts to build around Pacheco, okay, we'll just see. But
sure,
obviously there are better running backs to draft. So,
yeah, definitely.
Interesting question.
Next one here: Kyler Murray or Justin Fields heading into the playoffs?
Justin Fields.
My gut reaction was that as well, and I still think it is. They both have terrible playoff schedules.
Sure.
Kyler goes Denver, Tampa, and then Atlanta, which is a lighter matchup. You have to make the championship for that matchup to matter. And then Justin Fields goes Philadelphia, Buffalo, and then Detroit. And obviously, if you go Detroit, you make it the championship. That's a nice matchup for him as well. I think I still go Justin Fields. I like the arm of Kyler Murray more, but I don't know how you couldn't go with the guy who's breaking off 50-yard runs on a regular basis, 50-yard touchdown runs.
He put up 26 points against Dallas. I'm not scared about the Eagles defense for him.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think it's going to be, he's not fluky at all. It just kind of, I guess it depends on how the team wants to play. I don't know, because it's, we saw him against Green Bay and they were playing really well, and then adjustments were made and stuff like that. And so, I mean, I still think I'd go Fields. I mean, I have Kyler Murray. If I happen to have picked up Justin Fields off the waiver wire when I could have, I probably would still be playing Justin Fields every week of this of these playoffs, I think. So yeah, I go Fields there. I agree, Wes.
I love Fields, especially for next season too. So we'll just see how they develop him these last few weeks, because that can also set him up for a phenomenal season next year. Yeah,
definitely. We got one here. What was your favorite must start pick of the season so far? So
that's great.
I'm guessing how I'm interpreting this is, somebody that's in lineups every week now. Who was our favorite pick at the draft position, I guess, or maybe it was a waiver ad or whatever it is. What was yours, Wes?
From who became a must start in my lineup?
I think so. Yeah.
Are you talking about like in like our Thursday night previews? We're talking about our must starts is this guy.
Oh, I think that's probably what they meant, actually. Yeah. I didn't fully understand the question. I think you're probably right. I like that. I like that a lot more. Do you have a favorite, Wes, off the top of your head?
I need to. Okay. Give me 2 minutes here, because I just got to look up what all the Thursday night games were. So I can remember just the players, because I'll remember who they were. Do you know off your head?
I think one of my favorite must starts wasn't even my must start. I think it was yours. And it was when your must start was somebody's defense and special teams. I don't fully remember who it was.
Okay.
I know you did the Bills as a stud and a dud. But I don't fully remember. But I think, my favorite must start, Derek Carr.
Oh yeah.
My favorite must start right there. But there
pretty sweet.
Yeah.
I'm looking through.
It's a tough one. I'm trying to think back on him now.
Yeah, I'm looking through. I've got a couple of good options here. I think the fun. Well, it's not really a must start, but I think the funniest one was I said don't start the Browns defense week 3 against the Steelers, and like they had 2 points or something, and it was like a couple seconds to go. And we're like, wow, freaking nailed it. And then the Steelers start doing the lateral, and the Browns get a touchdown. They walk away with like 10 or 11 points. I was like, it was seconds away from being really smart. Gee whiz.
I remember that. That was great.
It's tough. There's so many. There's so many.
There's so many. Yeah, it's tough to narrow them down, but those are a couple good ones there. I like those. I'm happy with those.
I do like that we also we did say start every Eagle, don't start any Texan.
That was fun. Yeah, I like that one. That might be my favorite. Must start every Eagle. There you go. There you go. Wes, while you keep looking, if you want to keep looking, I'm going to jump to this next question here. Not even really a question, just says dying for some tight end waiver wire advice.
God, me too, right?
Us too, man. Yeah, us too. What is going on? What are we doing here? It is rough. I mean, I think some guys that are probably out there fairly widely not rostered, maybe, like what you talked about, it's such a wasteland, but maybe Noah Fant, maybe Cade Otton, maybe I
do like Cade Otton. He has been getting some interesting goal line attention.
He seems to earn Brady's trust a little bit here, more and more every week. Maybe every now and then you'll get the Mike Gesicki game. I don't know. It's tough.
That's too hard to predict, though.
Yeah, you'd have to just lock it in there.
Robert Tonyan is a deep cut as well because I know he's got some chemistry with Rodgers, but obviously we're seeing Christian Watson take over in the receiving game, so that's not reliable.
Yeah, I mean we love Pat Freiermuth. He's not on the waiver wire, but Connor Hayward, the rookie tight end for the Steelers, caught a touchdown this past week. Maybe there's some repetition there that happens, and maybe that continues a little bit, but. Man, you're not alone in wanting some tight end waiver wire advice because it's rough out here.
Yeah, if you like averaging 5.5 points a game, Austin Hooper, the Titans tight end, is available.
Let's go.
And he's rostered in 11% of leagues, so there's an option. Otherwise, screw it. Lock in Taysom Hill, bro.
Yeah.
Go get your 13.34 points and just see where he gets a touchdown.
Exactly. Yeah, we'll just have to wait and see on that one. But yeah, I mean, gosh, tight end is. Is Travis Kelce just going to be the 101? Yeah, is he just going to be the 101 next year because it's like such a difference between everybody and him?
Well, actually, no. I mean, Dallas Goedert. Don't forget he's hurt, but Dallas Goedert has been really good too.
Right, that's also true.
So it's him. Still probably Andrews. Goddard has snuck into that. And then everybody else.
Yeah.
I don't know, boy. Isaiah Likely has still had some good games too. Yeah. Hey, we're right there with you.
You're not alone.
Question bringer.
Yeah, you're not alone. Don't worry. Just two more here, Wes. We'll go through real quick. This one's easy for me. Swift or Pollard rest of season in a PPR league. I'm going to go. I say it's easy. It may not be right now. I don't fully. I want to see Swift do it again later in the season. I know he did pop up on the injury report this week as well after that game. For me, it's Pollard rest of the season.
I really like it.
And I'd say it's not as far off as I probably made it seem. It's probably a decent question, but both of these Cowboys backs are coexisting and being fantasy relevant, and it's great. So I go Pollard rest of the season.
I really like DeAndre Swift and what's happening with him, but obviously Tony Pollard is doing something in the fantasy world that I think people wondered if it was ever going to be possible as long as Ezekiel Elliott and Jerry Jones were in a romance.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's happening, and it's been beneficial to a lot of Pollard believers and truthers. I was one of them. I only got him in one league. I traded him to get Debo. Nice. Oddly enough, I think I'd rather have Pollard than Debo.
Yeah, right now, yeah. Insane, yeah. Wow. Yeah.
But good question, because I do like both. I like both of them. Hey, if you've got both those running backs, I think you're in a good spot.
Yeah, definitely. Last one here, and this is a bit of an interesting one. This one just says, would you guys ever do a listeners/fan league? I mean, I don't think we ever talked about it, Wes. I would love to. I think it'd be super fun to play fantasy with some of our listeners.
We have never talked about it. This is the first time we've ever even thought about it.
I think it'd be a fun time. We'd have to work it out and figure out how we could do it next year and see if it's something we could make happen. But
Yeah.
I think it'd be fun. I think it'd be fun. Maybe we make it a little, I don't know. Yeah, I would. So maybe
I would
we
too.
talk it over. We see if that's just something we might be able to make work.
I would love to. We would need to see, we're still growing. This is our first season of Fourth and Troll Fantasy. So I would just, we just see how many, if we are
If
gaining
anyone would be
enough
interested, yeah.
listeners to warrant enough active participants to, because 8-team league, okay, but 10-team league would be
10 to 12 team league
ideal.
would be awesome.
12 would be fun. I hate 12-team leagues, and 14 are just the worst because I just get like one good player. But if it means we have that many people who want to be in a league,
it'd be fun. Yeah.
Cool. Great. I'll draft Justin Jefferson first. You guys can have whoever you want.
Anybody else. Yeah. That'd be a fun time. Listen, that was pretty fun. If you guys enjoyed this Q&A moment here, let us know. We may bring it back for the playoffs. That being said, actually, we've got our final regular season studs and duds. Give you the best advantage you can. Starting out with you, Wes, who's your stud for this last regular season week of fantasy football?
What's great is we just talked about him. My stud is going to be DeAndre Swift.
Yeah.
I still believe in him. And I do really like what I saw. And I said it was for real. But here's the thing. You know what I like? That DeAndre Swift out-snapped Jamal Williams for the first time since week 5 on Sunday. You know what I like? I like that DeAndre Swift had the second highest snap count of the season on Sunday. No, you know what I like?
What?
I like he had just one carry shy of the most carries he's had in a game this season on Sunday. You know what I like, Noah?
Tell me.
I like that DeAndre Swift had the second most rushing yards in a game this season on Sunday. You know what I like? I'll tell you. He tied for most targets on Sunday and the most receiving yards on Sunday for him this season. You know what else I like? I like that the Vikings that they're playing against average 18.5 points to running backs. You know what else I like? That the Vikings allow the 4th most receiving yards to running backs and the 6th most receptions to running backs this season. You know who I like? I like DeAndre Swift as my stud for week 14. That's what I like.
You know what I like?
What do you like?
That.
Thanks.
That's pretty good. I like that. It's poetic. It's choreographed. It's beautiful.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. This is
that's a beautiful thing.
My way with words. But I do. Yeah. I like it.
Yeah, no, you do. Listen, I was thrilled to see this production from DeAndre Swift last week. I'm hoping we see it again. He did pop up, like I said, on the injury report, which concerns me a little tiny bit. I just want to, it might have been something they were trying to prevent, obviously, but yeah, I like it. DeAndre Swift, good stud for this last regular season week.
Thanks. Yeah, I mean, he is injury prone. That's been a factor in his. This is his 3rd year in the NFL. That's been a concern. So when that shows up, you're definitely more cautious about it. But I'll throw in one more thing that I like about it is that Jamal Williams barely scored double digits because he got a touchdown. That to me is intriguing just because obviously he scores 1,000 touchdowns every game. But I like a lot of what happened on Sunday. It wasn't just a big point game. A lot of stats went in his favor. So for me, that's my stud. Who's your stud?
Yeah, I'll jump in here. Listen, I'm here today to instill confidence into my fellow heartbroken 4th and Trollers. Last week was bad. All right. Last week was bad. 1 carry, 3 yards, just 17 snaps. It's the only action seen by the newly acquired Miami Dolphins running back, Jeff Wilson Jr. It was not a pretty sight. However, we're not the only ones who can recognize that. Because before practice on Wednesday, head coach Mike McDaniel was asked about the running back room and why there wasn't much going on with them last Sunday in San Francisco. And ladies and gentlemen, he did the thing. He did the thing. He said, I look at that as 100% on me to find more ways to involve them in the game. And if that means we're not running the ball, that's not an excuse. They're very good receivers. He did the thing, ladies and gentlemen. Mike McDaniel, arguably already one of the most creative and smartest coaches in the league, knows what he needs to make happen this Sunday night against a Chargers defense, allowing the 4th most fantasy points to running backs this year. I'm looking at last week's performance as an outlier rather than a shifting of the gears for this backfield. Jeff Wilson Jr. should be locked into lineups this week. He is my week 14 stud.
Let's go, dude. Woo, baby. Got me hyped up, bro. Gee whiz. He said the thing.
He did the thing. He
said the thing.
I know. I saw it because I was reading the transcript from the like post practice or before practice, like media availability or whatever it was. And I was like, oh my gosh, he did the thing.
That has been one of the most consistent trends in this podcast is whenever a coach says the thing, I got to get the ball to this player more. The next week they get the ball more. This is great news because I honestly was worried. I was like, oh man, this does not look 0.3 points for Jeff.
Yeah, one carry.
Geez. And it's not even like Mostert did a lot. He said the thing. I'm buying it.
Game over. Forget about it.
Whatever we need, whatever kind of superstition and omen we got to have to get through for the playoffs, I'll take it. He said the thing.
Yeah, he said the thing. I love it. Fins up forever. Wes, last regular season dud. Who is it?
I am going to declare that Isaiah Pacheco is going to be dud for week 14. Okay. So it's funny because we just talked about, maybe he can be RB1. Yeah, possibly. Well, not now. Not this week. Okay. Let me just explain. I firmly believe that the 2022 Denver Broncos defense will be one of the most underrated defenses in the last 10 years because they are horribly overshadowed by one of the least efficient offenses in the last ever. I looked it up. Fun fact, right now, if the Denver Broncos finished with the amount of points per game they have, they would be in the bottom 25 worst offenses in the history of the NFL ever. They averaged 13.8 points per game. That is it. So you can understand why no one's paying attention to the Denver Broncos defense. I do. I pay attention to that defense. Listen to this. They've allowed the 3rd fewest yards per game in the NFL. In the world of fantasy, the Denver defense has allowed the 7th fewest points to running backs, and they're tied for 4th fewest rushing touchdowns. Obviously, the Chiefs don't have to worry about that because they have one P. Mahomes under center. So go ahead, throw it. I don't care. Obviously, Mahomes is not a dud or Kelsey or even Juju, but the rushing game, I think, will be a dud. And I think specifically Isaiah Pacheco, because I want the fantasy world to know the Denver Broncos have a really good defense, and they should be taken seriously enough that you have to consider who you start when you see a player is lining up against that defense. So this is an elite defense. I don't want that to ever go forgotten as we reminisce on Russ's first year with Denver. They have an incredible defense. Even after they traded away Bradley Chubb, they're still playing great. So for that reason, Isaiah Pacheco is my dud for this week.
Yeah, I like it. I'm a Pacheco owner. I have some stuff to deal with. I got David Montgomery on a bye week, so was dealing with who I was going to start my RB2 spot here, and was considering Pacheco. And I don't think I don't think I am anymore. I think it's definitely. I think the only way Pacheco is relevant this week in fantasy is on a garbage time touchdown. And I don't think we're going to get that. I don't think we're going to run into that here with him. And I think he falls in the dud category pretty easily this week. I like it.
Yeah. I mean, obviously anybody can get a touchdown, as we've learned from prior, when the season first started. Mahomes declared that, but Jerick McKinnon is the PPR pass catching halfback, tailback in Kansas City. So just for that alone, you look at the rushing statistics of the Denver Broncos. Pacheco is not favored in this. And obviously, again, they have the best quarterback in the NFL. They don't need to depend on him. So that's why he's my dud. All right, close us out. Prepare us, Noah. Who's going to be a dud as we get ready for the playoffs?
Yeah, let me say this here. I don't know what it's like to break your femur bone, but I would assume it's about as painful as having to label one of your preseason fantasy my guys as a dud.
Oh my gosh. Is that what it's like?
I think from what I would assume. My week 14 dud is Mike Evans. This one just stings. It stings. But a few weeks back, Wes and I collectively warned you that there was a shift coming as to who was the top wide receiver for the Bucs. And as usual, we're spot on. Hashtag never been wrong. But here's how frustrating Mike Evans has been this year. Chris Godwin and Mike Evans each have 2 touchdowns since week 4. Chris Godwin, however, has those 2 touchdowns since week 4 over a span of his last 3 games. Mike Evans' 2 touchdowns since week 4 both came in the same game against the Kansas City Chiefs in week 4. Mike Evans hasn't scored a touchdown in 9 games. This is the same Mike Evans who has 27 touchdowns in his last 2 seasons with Tom Brady. And he has 3 this year. 3 touchdowns. That's it. He hasn't scored since week 4. The lost potential of this Tom Brady, Mike Evans connection is absolutely heart-shattering or femur-shattering, so to speak. This week, the Bucs play the 49ers, and I'm just going to take a shot in the dark here, but I'm going to say Brady isn't going to have time to throw and get Mike Evans the ball. So it's just, it is so frustrating, this connection that has been so on fire over the last 2 years, how poor it is this year. Mike Evans hasn't scored in 9 games. Screw it. Mark my words. Mike Evans is going to finish with less than 8 fantasy points this week. He is a massive week 14 dud.
Oh my goodness. This is, Noah, it was like therapy in a way. Like you walked into this episode and you said, hey, trollers, look, I'll just be upfront with you. I gotta admit, look, I missed the mark on the Derek Carr must start. And here you are again, so humble, so modest, just saying it's Mike Evans, my guy, is not paying out. But you're doing it for us, man. You're doing it for us because you don't want us. You're not stubborn in your ways. You're not trying to believe in something that isn't happening. And you're giving us facts too. You're giving us statistics. And for that, I commend you. And I bet it does feel just the same as breaking a femur bone.
For sure, yeah.
To have to say, don't start Mike Evans in your fantasy football team.
Yeah, but it's painful. It's
very
painful
for us.
Bone shattering.
Bones and all, Noah.
Some may say bones and all. Out now in theaters.
That's right.
Sponsored. Sponsored, yeah. This Fourth Troll Fantasy is brought to you by Bones and All. No, I don't know if we can get legal trouble for saying that. No, it's not. We're not sponsored at all. But
yes, it is. This episode is brought to you by Sprite.
This episode is brought to you by
Coca-Cola products. Sprite.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
Want a Sprite cranberry?
All right. That is all the time that we have for this episode. Wherever you're listening, we'd appreciate it if you gave us a like and a review. Leave a review, giving us 5 stars on the episode. Write something funny in the review, and we'll give you a shout out next time. We're on social media everywhere at 4th and Troll. We're on Facebook at 4th and Troll Fantasy. Look for our mascot, Tutty the Troll, and make him smile by giving us a follow and joining us next time every Tuesday and Friday. I'm Noah Selby.
And I'm Wes Selby.
And this has been 4th and Troll Fantasy.